Also, how do I feel Triple H would have affected the invasion angle had he not been injured? Immensely. He would have made a huge difference in that angle. So would Chris Benoit. Both of those guys were on the shelf during this shit, and it's a shame because, you know, the invasion was already lacking as it was. I mean, when WCW came over and they invaded, you know, I mean, it was the roster of the death of WCW. There was no NWO. There was no Hall, Nash, Goldberg, Hogan, Sting, Flair. None of those guys were there. It was just the young guys. You know, the only invasion that was going on was with fucking Sean Stasiak and Palumbo and guys like that. It was just, you know, nobody even knew who these fucking guys were. It just sucked. So, you know, you already had lack of talent, and then, you know, you're also missing Chris Benoit, who could be used as a WCW guy if they ever wanted to turn him heel. And then you had Triple H that could really be on the front lines in the WWE, and I don't think he would be a guy that would change sides at all. I don't think he would have jumped to the alliance. And I think had he been there, he would have made a great opponent for Stone Cold, because Triple H at the time that he was injured, I think, was the most over heel in the company, even more so than Austin. I kind of, looking back, think the Austin heel turn was a mistake because, you know, at WrestleMania 17, you lost your two biggest stars of all time in the same night. Rock left to go do movies and Austin turned heel. You know, what the fuck were they thinking? You know, but Triple H was starting to earn the respect of the fans. The same fans that would hate his guts a year later were really respecting his work rate and ethic and all of the great matches he was having and all of the great storylines he was doing. His matches with Stone Cold, you know, during that feud, that No Way Out match that they had, his match with Undertaker at WrestleMania, he had a chain match with Kane at a pay-per-view after that. You know, he was putting on solid matches, and even the match with Stone Cold and Triple H versus Benoit and Jericho the night that he got injured just had so much excitement. Triple H was at the absolute peak of his game at the moment he was injured. So had he been around for the invasion angle, he would have been the leader of the WWE. It probably would have been him and Undertaker. Right after him and Undertaker had been feuding, that would have been great to see them kind of join forces. I remember one of the invasion angles on Raw where the WWE guys, you know, fought off, you know, the alliance for the first time, and you see Undertaker help Kurt Angle up and, you know, pat him on the head, and, you know, it was kind of like, wow, they're standing together. That was, you know, the alliance angle and the invasion angle did have its moments. There were a few moments during the angle that I really enjoyed, but I agree with everybody that the ball was dropped in that angle. But Triple H would have contributed, but I don't think he would have saved the angle. I mean, even with Triple H there, you know, I still think the ball would have been dropped because it wasn't the right time. They should have waited until they were able to get all of these guys. They should have waited a full year. You know, why not? You know, because a year later is when, you know, Hall, Nash, Hogan came in. You know, I think a year after that, it was when Goldberg came in. So if they just waited a while and got a lot of these WCW guys and held it off and brought it back that way with them, oh, man, that would have been great. So the whole overall angle definitely sucked. Triple H would have helped it, but he would not have saved it.